Today, for the first time, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall told the WAAY 31I team what he thinks is wrong with the parole board and the next steps he and the governor are planning to fix the problems.
But the governor, I believe, to be a very pressing need for that agency to get its house in order.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Demetria McClinton.
And I'm Dan Schaefer. In a rare one-on-one interview, Attorney General Steve Marshall told WAAY 31's Brecken Terry how frustrated he and Governor Kay Ivey are about a parole board letting out violent criminals, one of whom is now charged with killing 3 people.
Marshall told me our investigation into the parole board and the failures by the state opened his eyes to what he and the governor consider a systematic problem. He said he and the governor will not rest until they see major changes here at the parole board.
We didn't think it was as thoughtful as it should be in response to the questions that we asked, not only through the executive order, but also through the meeting that we had itself.
It's the response former parole board member Bobby Longshore thinks sends the right message.
I think the governor wanted details that they obviously did not provide.
Longshore told me he left the parole board in 2016, partly because of changes made to the state's parole system. Board members started using an analytical tool created in Ohio to determine if criminals should get parole. After police arrested Jimmy Spencer for killing 3 people in Gunnersville over the summer, the WAAY 31I team uncovered the board granted Spencer parole late last year, based off of how it used the analytical tool. Spencer was serving a life sentence. When the WAAY 31I team discovered Spencer's release wasn't an isolated incident, we took our questions straight to the people in charge, Attorney General Steve Marshall and Governor Kay Ivey. They took immediate action and ordered the board to make changes.
You know, the governor and I are not going to be patient on this. I think we are not only concerned about exactly what we sort of have seen through the last several months about the early parole cuts and the consideration of those that were violent offenders.
Time is running out for parole board members. Ivey and Marshall rejected the board's initial plan last week. They gave board members until the end of the year to create an action plan with specific details on ensuring excellence in leadership, cultivating a culture of respect towards victims and their families, proper prep time for hearings, and maintaining supervision of parolees. They also determined the board asked for outside help this time, or else.
Internally, within the workings of the Pardon and Parole Board, we've demanded changes and expect to see those take place.
Another demand is reforming the early parole system. But if they don't meet any of Ivey and Marshall's requests, former member Longshore told me replacing executive parole leadership is hard to do.
But with the senior staff in place there as state merit system employees, the governor wants something done which I don't know if it can be done. Particularly if they were acting on directions or with the clear permission of the parole board.
I'm still waiting for any type of comment from the parole board after the Attorney General and Governor told its members their first plan failed. In Montgomery, Brecken Terry, WAAY 31 News.
All right, thanks so much, Brecken. And our investigation into Spencer's release in the parole system uncovered the board should have never let him out.
We sifted through hundreds of pages of his prison record, something board members did not do. We found about 50 disciplinary actions against him, including fighting with inmates, attacking officers, and escaping 3 times. AG Steve Marshall also told us those details made people pay attention.
Your station has been able to highlight some of those issues in ways that candidly we hadn't seen before. You know, and the depth of what we've learned is very much an assessment that the governor and I have made going forward about whether or not we have seen that there are issues systemic that we need to be able to change.
You can see every single one of those issues we uncovered, including how police in Sardis arrested Spencer while he was on parole, but were forced to let him go because his parole officer didn't respond for weeks. Go to WAAYTV.com, scroll over news, and click on iTeam.